People began settling in Japan in the year 40,000 BC. Rice farming and rice kingdoms dominated Japan during this time period. Whoever had the largest or most efficient rice farm usually also had the most power. The system of rice farming in Japan was prominent up until the Japanese adopted Buddhism, as well as borrowed many cultural beliefs from China. The adoption of new belief systems from the outside world caused Japan to go into a cultural revolution, where art and literature flourished. Around this time, rich and powerful people that lived outside of palaces began hiring samurai to protect their belongings. Eventually, these families began building armies of samurai, called daimyos, and forming their own minuscule governments. The two most powerful daimyos, the Minamoto and the Taira, challenged the emperor for power and won. They established a military government called a shogunate, and moved the capital of Japan. The emperor still exists, however all the real power is in the hands of the shogun. In 1300, the emperor begins challenging the shogun to become the ruler of Japan. A series of battles between the two clans occurs. Due to the stress of the battles between the emperor and the shogun, as well as disputes concerning who the next shogun will be, Japan breaks into small territories, with each territory fighting for control of local land. In 1568, Oda Nobunaga, the leader of the Banaga clan, makes a run for the capital of Japan and is successful. He begins conquering Japan, however he dies before the task can be completed. A man named Toyotomi Hideyoshi completes the job by successfully conquering and uniting all of Japan. Before Hideyoshi dies, he tells his 5 council members to look after his son until he is old enough to rule Japan. The members of the council ignore Hideyoshi's requests and instead battle each other for power. A man named Tokugawa Ieyasu, the richest and most powerful council member, becomes the emperor. He changes the capital of Japan to Edo and establishes a new, more strict government. The Tokugawa government closes off Japan's borders. Now that Japan is not in a civil war and is stable for the first time in a while, the population begins to grow, and Japan experiences a scientific and cultural revolution. When the U.S. shows up to Japan and demands that they open their borders, Japan reluctantly agrees. Many Japanese were upset with the new open border policy. As a result, the government was overthrown, and the capital of Edo was named Eastern Capital, also known as Tokyo. The government was now much more modern and Western, replacing samurai military government of the past.
Bushido, or the Way of the Warrior, is the general name given to the philosophy of the samurai. Some key values of Bushido are loyalty, martial arts mastery, and honor until death. Samurai weren't only expected to be skillful warriors, but also expected to be highly cultured and literate. An ancient saying by samurai warriors was Bonbu Radu, meaning the pen and the sword in accord. And it was common for samurai to enjoy tea ceremonies, poetry, and music. Bushido was also influenced by many religions such as Buddhism, Zen, Confucianism, and Shinto. Another vital part of the code of Bushido was seppuku, which is a form of Japanese ritual suicide by disembowelment. Seppuku was used either voluntarily by samurai to die with honor rather than fall into the hands of their enemies, or as a form of capital punishment for samurai who had committed serious offenses, or who had brought shame to themselves. The decline of the samurai came in the late 19th century as Japan opened its borders to the U.S. Navy and power was given back to the imperial family in 1868. After this, samurai became known as shizoku, a term which represented their former samurai status, and they were no longer allowed to carry a katana in public. Also in the 19th century, the samurai class was abolished in favor of a more Western-style national army. After the samurai class was abolished, many high-ranking samurai became disciplined imperial army officers or used their high levels of literacy to become reporters, writers, or to serve in the national government. Although the samurai social class was mainly abolished in the 19th century, their culture is still alive today in modernized Japan. The culture can be seen in the many great castles all around the country, and the many festivals originating in samurai culture, and visiting the many grounds of samurai battles all across the country.